Ladies and gentlemen, Jambo Kenya. Hope you guys are good. Welcome back to the Mirror Podcast. This is our second episode of our fourth season. And ladies and gentlemen, we have quite an interesting topic to talk about today. Our topic will be self-care and appreciation. I am joined today by my co-host, Alvin Fadhili, who I will give 2 seconds to say hi to you guys.
Hi guys. Nasikia siku hizi kazi yenu ni kula shavashe zinawaendeaje? How is kwanza mkitaka namba yake niko nayo. najua pale tunaweza mpata. Najua where is going to be chilling over the weekend. Tunaweza enda atupes tu ya kula nayo shavashe. But anyway, I hope you guys are good and let's dive in.
So we'll begin with a question. And the question is, what is self-care? Alvin Fadhili.
Bana, mi sijui man. Hapo nikikwambia
10-0.
Hapo naweza kuambia kitu nimeambiwa kwa darasa. Nikikwambia mi najua what self-care is really. Nitakuwa nimekudanganya. I can tell you I'm just trying but to learn. But self-care. Self-care is about being holistic. It's about being physically good, mentally good, emotionally good, spiritually good, and everything in between. Kama kuna any other subgroups, it's being good in all aspects. So, what most of the people think self-care is, going to the gym, keep your body fit, eat healthy, take smoothies. But there's one important aspect we do not. Actually, hata hapo kwa physically bado kuna aspects we really fall short of. Kuna kitu inaitwa medical checkups. When was the last time you went for a medical checkup?
Mimi naingianga hospitali nikiwa mgonjwa to the point my life can't continue. Before that,
hospitali fani
nikiona naweza tembea na niko bodily functions haziko too badly damaged, tutakuwa sawa.
So self-care is basically being holistic, and like I've said, it's all aspects. When it comes to physical wellness, it touches on both what you eat, how you keep your body, how you feel, how you are, like everything that composes of your physical being should be in its tip-top shape the way you want it to be. When it comes to your mental health, it's basically touching upon your well-being as in terms of how in touch you are with your emotions, how well you are able to understand and comprehend them, not control and suppress them. Yeah.
Right. So let me.
And lastly, spiritually. Actually, on mental health, there are other things other than the emotions. The state of being, how you feel about yourself, how you feel when you are with yourself, how you feel when you are alone. That when you just by yourself, how you feel when you're just alone. That determines whether you are actually very good with yourself or whether you care for yourself. And the last one, spiritually. What do you believe in? What do you hold true, like in terms of the things that we do not see around here, what we don't see on our world of ours? That's the other word I've forgotten. It's the best to use in terms of spirituality, but I've forgotten it. But the best way to know if you're spiritually healthy or spiritually taking care of yourself is, are you aware that there are some things that are beyond you and I? There are things that are beyond our celestial beings. There are things that are beyond what we see as true and false, what we know as right and wrong. There are things that are beyond that. So taking care of yourself also shows that, or self-care should also incorporate that. So it's both physical, mental, and spiritual. Some people would argue that being Christian, whatever religion you follow, being religious could be an aspect of spirituality. it's an aspect, but it's not fully. So understanding what you mean by being a spiritual being is also important in understanding self-care. So self-care is being holistic, like I said.
So according to Gemini of Ngulungulu, self-care encompasses activities that prioritize and maintain your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So we can see that our dear friend Alvin here is well read, helping you to thrive and maintain resilience in the face of challenges or in the face of life. I didn't know that self-care is like the holistic thing. I knew of self-care as like physically taking care of yourself, emotionally. I didn't know like self-care is like a broad thing, like the whole aspect of things. But with that said, there's different ways that you could take care of yourself.
That's true.
Like physically, eating well, maintaining your nutrients on a right place. Resting. Let's talk about resting. Because in this world of ours, resting has become a thing that people tend to ignore a lot. Guys, biologically, if you sleep less than 8 hours, it has impacts on you that you are not even capable of encompassing, because they are very diverse yet very dangerous to you, especially
depending on your age.
Yeah, and especially to your mental health, depending on where you are at mentally and the level of mental strength you have as a person.
But in terms of the number of hours you sleep, it's very different for people of different ages.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone past 40, okay, the in their late stages of life,
Mm-hmm.
they can sleep for less than 8 hours, because most of their processes that are supposed to be growing are already grown.
Mm-hmm.
And the best time for rejuvenative sleep is 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's for them.
Mm-hmm.
For people between, the youth, let me group into the youth.
Mm-hmm.
The youth, it's about 8 to 9 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's for good and rejuvenative sleep. If you're younger than that, it's 10 to 12 hours.
Sleep does not mean blackout. This is to the youth.
Yes.
Sleep means you went to bed and your
took
brain
yourself to bed, switched off your gadgets, or stayed away from your gadgets. Don't watch until you black out. And this is very hypocritical, because I do that.
It's slowing down your brain to the point where it rests. That's what basically sleeping is.
Yes.
But in our world of constant distractions and instant gratification, it's a lot harder to do. But if you're intentional about it, you will take care of yourself. Self-care is also something you have to be very intentional with.
That's true.
It just doesn't happen on accident. You can't just accidentally take care of yourself. Because, as I said, our world is full of distractions. You might be too distracted to take care of yourself. You might be too consumed by your addictions or your habits or your mannerisms to take care of yourself, and you might not even know. So it is very good for you to be a constantly self-aware person and to be constantly intentional about taking care of yourself.
True.
Right, so there's the emotional aspect of it, where I think setting boundaries plays a big part in like regulating what goes on in your life. I think boundaries are a very good thing from person to person, depending on what you can and can't allow, because people are different. People have different tolerance levels for different things. So it's good to set boundaries based off of what you can and can't tolerate, and be open about your boundaries.
True.
But it's a really sticky situation for some of us, me being the some of us that I'm talking about. And also having self-compassion, which is an interesting thing. So some time back...
What is self-compassion?
Self-compassion is loving yourself. Like doing things for you, doing things that interest you for you. Right? So I like playing football. So I just go to play football to enjoy it. Not for any particular reason, but just for my enjoyment, for my... what do I call it?
Amusement.
Yeah. That was the word.
Yeah.
And self-compassion is actually very, very good for you.
Yeah.
It helps you. It goes hand in hand with self-acceptance.
Can I add something on self-compassion?
Uh-huh.
It's also giving yourself the grace and the ability to be a human being.
Right.
allowing yourself to make mistakes and learning from the mistakes, not beating yourself down for one mistake while you are able to live a whole life where you have the ability to forgive and learn. Because a whole lot of things we learn. We were not born with absolute knowledge. We were not born with the monopoly of understanding. So we learn. Sometimes you learn the wrong thing. Sometimes you misunderstand. Sometimes you end up failing where you were supposed to learn. It's important to love yourself enough so that you can forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made when you did not have enough knowledge as you have right now. That is also self-compassion.
Right. Something that also has come to mind for me is self-acceptance. As you've said, it's good for you to forgive yourself and allow yourself to even make mistakes.
Yes.
It's humanly. It allows you to become human. You're not a robot. You are not designed to have... Even robots have errors. Even code has errors. Even they have errors, bugs, and all that.
Yes.
So the constant chase of perfection, as we covered earlier, if you've been listening, is something that's, one, unattainable, and two, will give you a lot of frustration and mental headaches for no apparent reason. And
Very
it's also
true.
really bad for your emotional well-being, because if you're constantly chasing this thing and you're constantly being frustrated, you'll never really even accept yourself or find peace. So for your own well-being, it is very important to learn to accept that you have flaws, accept that you do things differently, accept that maybe you don't see things the same way as other people, because everyone's different in their own way, and it's okay to be different. Like, it's not a bad thing. You don't have to be the same as everyone else. Even though society has continuously conditioned you to believe that similarity is a good thing, it's okay to be different. It's okay to have different opinions. It's okay to have different ideas. It's okay to do things your own way.
Very true.
And this takes us to the next stage, where there is mental health. Being mindful about what you do is very good for you to take care of yourself. Being intentional about your mental health, taking positive steps towards growing and even maintaining a good state of mental health, like going to therapy, is very nice for you. And as Alvin has told me 1,000,001 times, therapy does not mean you going to tell your problems to someone. Therapy could be in different forms, in different shapes, depending on who you are, what you love, and so on and so forth.
But also, that form of therapy, the therapy that you have a connection with someone else, that you have a conversation with, that you open up to, is very important. It's very essential. And every human being, whether you're in a good or in a bad place, you need therapy.
Right. So there's also
Na si eti najimarket lakini pia sio mbaya mkuja kunipea pesa.
That's also not so bad.
Yeah.
So there's also the social aspect of self-care, where you have healthy relationships, and which has also something to touch with boundaries, where you learn to say no to things. If your friends have drugs, you say no. If your friends want you to go partying, you say no. Or if they want you to do something you do not consent to, say no. They might criticize you or they might do whatever, but you say no and stick to your saying no, because according to you, if it is good for you,
go for it.
Yeah.
If it's not, stand your ground.
Yeah.
It's not anyone's responsibility to be socially acceptable.
Right. So the one problem that anyone who has tried to practice self-care tends to encounter is that they tend to think of it as being selfish, because it involves you choosing yourself over others a lot, which from the way society has made us think, makes you see yourself as a selfish person. And honestly, it gets to a point you just have to be okay with it.
Being selfish is not wrong.
There's that also.
But it just depends in the intensity or the extremities of being selfish.
Explain.
So, being selfish is choosing yourself over other people. but it does not mean you choose yourself over other people every single time. Because, like I've said before, we are social creatures. So being a social creature means that you have to be able to relate with other human beings and comprehend and understand that human beings are different and we take in things differently. So to be selfish, you have to accept that sometimes it's important to choose yourself, especially when it comes to a point where there is sacrifice that is needed to be done. So if you have to sacrifice your time, you have to weigh, is this time that I'm sacrificing, is it valuable to me more than it is valuable to the other person? If it is, you have to be very careful on how you actually do it. You have to be very careful on whether you're going to give them the time or not. Is it worth it to give them the time? And another thing you should ask yourself, if they were in your shoes, if they needed to spare their time, effort, money, whatever it is, would they do it for you? So when you're able to answer that question, and when you're able to answer it correctly, that's when you know when to be selfish and when not to be selfish.
So the subject matter here is if the other person would do it for you, basically.
One of them, I have said.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, one of
the
them.
other one being your consideration on whether you giving out your said time is more important to you than keeping it, or if it's okay to give it to them.
Yes.
Right. So let's go on to the next thing, which
and
is
and also the extremities at which you give them, because you can't always be the one giving without receiving.
I will not clarify why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Let us move on to the next thing, which is self-appreciation. So what do you think self-appreciation is?
Wow.
Men of society, I hope you're taking notes. This is a topic that men of society tend to ignore a lot for many reasons.
You'd actually be shocked. Very few people actually appreciate themselves.
So it's like everyone.
Yeah. We hardly appreciate ourselves. I would ask a question to someone of the other gender, but alisema asiulizwe maswali. So I'll throw the question to the audience. When was the last time you appreciated yourself, irrespective of your gender or sex? When was the last time you appreciated yourself? Why do you think you have taken that time, or whether it's short time or long time since the last time you appreciated yourself? Why do you think you've taken that much time? So, what is self-appreciation? At least from what I have heard from therapists and also from the books I have read and the people I have interacted with, self-appreciation is actually being grateful for how far you have come, all you have done good for yourself, and being able to accept yourself for the far you've come. Like being grateful for the work you've done thus far.
That is something the past were really challenged to do, because I tended to see goals as achieved or not. It's very common to find that people see life as a black and white, a yes or no, right and wrong. But you tend to realize that apart from your education, most of life is a spectrum. So what I had to then go and learn is that not achieving it the way I wanted does not mean I didn't achieve something. So on the point Alvin is trying to bring up of appreciating where you are, at the work you've done thus far, it is very important because you've done something. It's not like you did nothing. Because self-appreciation is, to me, the difference between you feeling like you've done nothing to like the in-between of you doing nothing and doing something. Appreciating that is there in between.
The process.
Yeah, appreciating the process is actually what I believe is self-appreciation. And I see the importance of it because if you look at it from, let me use the example of kids in like kindergarten, nursery, and pre-unit, all that.
Yeah.
Let's say there's a race and there are 3 children. One finishes the first one finishes the second one finishes the third one. All of them finish the race. One will get appreciated differently to the other and the other, based off of how well they were able to execute the process of finishing the race. So the first one will get medal for number 1, the second one will get medal for number 2, the third one get medal for number 3. But if there was a fourth person, even though there's no societal merit for them, like there's no number 4 medal, even they should be appreciated.
But sometimes they do. In some cases, there is the medal of participation.
Yeah. I used to see it as a very pointless thing. To be honest, I used to see it like if I went somewhere and I was given a medal of participation, I've never kept it. I have never. Like certificate or award of participation, I don't. Because me in the past didn't used to see it as appreciation. Like the only appreciation that mattered to me was number 1, 2, 3. Right? And I believe it is important to appreciate the little efforts that you do, because you could use it as a motivating factor to do more.
Yes.
And even if you're not even using it to motivate yourself, you can just say that I'm appreciating myself because I did 20% of what I said I'll do. It's progress. You've done something.
Exactly.
You've done something. Maybe people reward themselves differently in society because people are different in how they see things. But it is important to appreciate your small wins.
Yeah.
Because it goes a long way, actually. Life is pretty challenging, and you might not end up achieving everything to the extent that you want to achieve it, but you will have done something. And it is important to appreciate that happened, because not appreciating it and acting like it didn't happen is also not the smartest thing to do.
True.
Yeah. It's crucial for you to appreciate the fact that you've come thus far, because it's something you are doing. You are not just existing. And for those of you who are existing, where? Now, I don't know if people should appreciate their own existence.
Not everyone wakes up every morning.
Yeah. It's good to... I think it's also a form of gratitude. Just saying thank you for what you've done. Maybe you went on you were supposed to go on a 5-kilometer run, then you went 2 and then you got tired. You still did something, so you could appreciate yourself. You can go buy yourself a kasoda or something like that, depending on how you reward yourself. Self-appreciation also boosts confidence and resilience, because it gives you the reassurance that at the end of the day, I did something, right?
And it was something good.
Yeah.
Like you actually just made progress.
There was progress made. Things were done. We're moving closer toward said objective. Yeah. I don't really have any expert insight on how these things affect you, but I know they do, because since I started practicing it, even though I do like a little, it helps. It goes a long way in like you trying to live life, because life is quite challenging. I'm not gonna lie. If you do not appreciate yourself, where you might end up having this thing we call self-loathing, which is a very bad thing. And that leads me to talk about the barriers of self-care. And the first one being guilt.
Badum.
Self-care, as we talked about, can sometimes feel like it's being selfish. So we're not talking about self-appreciation now for a minute. We've gone back to self-care.
Yes.
So you might feel guilty for being selfish. And as Alvin earlier said, it's okay. It's okay to be selfish at times.
Yeah.
It's okay to choose yourself.
Yes.
And
And
I
also
think
that guilt is okay. Why is a guilt okay? Because you are now beating the condition that you have been placed in.
Yeah.
So while you're going against the grain or going against the norm that you have been placed in, it will feel wrong. But truth be told, sometimes being wrong, sometimes being the farthest from what society wants is the right thing to do.
There's also the societal rejection of some sort to you being selfish. And honestly, what I have learned thus far in my life is everyone will say something. So it's best that you do what is best for you, to be honest. Because even if you don't and you do what is best for them, they'll still say something.
That's true.
So in a matter of practicing self-care,
Mm-hmm.
you should prioritize yourself. You should do what's best for you in the situation at hand, unless the sacrifice that is at hand is necessary. Because there might be a situation where you choosing to sleep over taking maybe your loved one to the hospital. Now that's just being crazy, man. See, you take your loved one to the hospital, yawa.
Bana.
You don't be like that.
Give
So
them medical care.
as he said, it's important to be selfish, but at the right amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So there's also the issue of time constraints and the genuinity. You know, it is important to be genuine. You can have a fake busy schedule and you can have a real busy schedule. It is important. Being busy is a good bad thing, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But according to me, if I tell you I'm busy, that's how I've learned to prioritize myself, man. Say me, hiyo ni mambo yangu, man.
Hakuna mtu amekataa.
But it is important to have genuine business.
Yes. It is very important.
And time constraints are actually a barrier to self-care, because you might tell yourself you're too busy to practice self-care, but ask yourself this question: is there anyone that's really more important than you to you?
That is very wise. Good.
Just ask yourself that question.
Hapo umegonga ndipo.
And once you realize that there is none, you will realize that another barrier is external validation. So I will put myself on the spotlight in this topic and say, I have tried my level best to detest this thing called external validation. But well, let me just say, it's a part of your life that is there. You can't just decide, you know what, delete this one and keep this one, because that's not how life works. So you're going to have to be okay with it being there. But as a barrier to self-care, people tend to substitute approval instead of self-care. You tend to value people's approval more than your own, or more than taking care of yourself. So people the most common example, or the one that has come to head first, is social media. I've seen the prevalence of people sharing their problems on social media, and it's I don't find it bad to share your problems, but are you like, once you've shared your problems, are you taking care of yourself? Are you like circling back to want to do better? Are you trying to improve yourself? It's just you're just sharing for sharing purposes and then it's over?
Some people just share to keep it out there. Some people share to seek help. Some people share to just feel, okay, this is the most messed up one. Share so that they can get sympathy from others, and others share fake stories so that they can feel like, oh, at me, I'm going through shit, feel bad for me.
Some of you, by the way, it's a very disgusting thing to see fake stories on the internet just for simple validation. Like it's a really bad thing, especially when there's like real life bad things that happen. You see things like, let's say something was blamed on someone that didn't happen. Let me give an actual practical example. Let's say you found your partner or your loved one did something, and then they blamed it on someone else. Let's say your partner had cheated on you, and then they come out and say that the person they cheated with raped them. What this does is it brings society to a point where they're always questioning whether this story is real or fake. So the actual real stories that happened are put under a bracket of maybe it's for clout, maybe it's not. And to me, that's like a really, really bad thing. Like, someone might have actually experienced the problem, and you are just here trying to save yourself from what actually happened, and now you two have been put in the same category. Yet they actually experienced the problem, and you're just not a truthful person. So also being true to self is part of self-care. Like know and understand yourself, your wants, your needs, and try to mitigate yourself also. Because especially with the prevalence of social media, forgive my prejudice to social media, it has been a roller coaster of a ride over my life. Sometimes I've used it as an escape. Sometimes I've used it for not the best need, not the best purposes. And well, I've learned to do better. But the point is, external validation should not. It can, because people have made it, but it should not replace your ability to self-care and self-accept. Don't do things for people on the internet to accept you, manze.
That's true.
Self-acceptance is a billion times better than people's approval on the internet. Because even the approval might be fake. It might be they're trying to do the same thing. So self-care, you sit down and introspect. Ask yourself, am I really suffering from this problem? Or am I just going with that trend?
That's crazy. That's very important.
There's a lot of ways to practice self-care, like a lot. But the first one that we've mentioned earlier would be appreciation. The small things, the simple habits, the things that you just do for yourself. Maybe you gift yourself kakidogo, you tell yourself, go buy something nice. I've heard you say that a lot of recent, and I'm like, that's interesting. Because there's a time Alvin asked me, and it caught me so off guard. He asked me, when was the last time you took yourself out? And I was like, wait, people actually do that? And he was telling me, yeah, like, why would you not take yourself out? And me, I was just surprised. I was like, people take themselves out.
Now, on to the audience. When was the last time you took yourself out on a date? Like actually just going on a date by yourself, taking care of you. As like you actually go sit somewhere like, hey, by the way, acha leo wacha nipige ntoaje nyama na ka fries ama whatever you want, whatever you prefer. And sit down with yourself and be like, yeah, you've actually done good. You've actually come this far. Good work. When was the last time you did that?
If you have never done it like me, raise your hand.
Or right.
Like this,
you can raise hand up kwa comments.
But
tell us bana. Hey.
No, me, I actually want to know why. I'm like really curious about why you've never just decided, you know what? Me, my reason is I've never seen, like I didn't consider it something I could do for myself. Like I didn't know that I could just take myself out.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to going out taking other people. Like I'm used to doing it for other people, not for myself. So that's why I didn't do it, but I have learned that it is possible to do so.
Yes.
I will try and I will let you guys know.
Yes.
Another way to practice self-care and appreciation is setting boundaries.
No. Before you continue, there is something. This is very minute. This is like the smallest of things you could ever do, but it does a lot to you. Being intentional with your breathing. Taking a deep breath. Taking a deep breath actually changes a lot of things. It helps you concentrate. It helps you break down whatever you're feeling, whatever is happening in your head. It actually helps you decipher. So taking a deep breath means you inhale, a strong inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And you can do this to, count 1 to 10, take a deep breath, count to 5, exhale, take another deep breath, count to 5, exhale, and then do that like 3 times, however you're going to do it, whatever number of times you can do it. But most effective is 3 to 4 times with a break of about a solid 5 seconds in between for you to actually comprehend what is happening with you, because it does change a lot. It actually helps you get yourself out of a state where you feel like the world is against you or you're drowning in your own thoughts, and helps you clear your mind. Yeah.
Right. So as we've learned, it's also important to set boundaries and learn to say no with not feeling guilty. But Alvin said feeling guilty is okay. I honestly can't clarify on the matter, because Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and I guess that's also okay.
Depends what kind of guilt. In this case, that guilt is it's fine because you're now breaking off from the norms of society.
So it's so the guilt in this case is like the pain of learning to change the habit.
Yes.
Right. So it's also important to celebrate your small wins and appreciate the small things that you do. Acknowledge your achievements on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Just like sit down and just do self-gratitude. What did I do today? I did this. Good job. Then pass. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Affirmations and journaling. Journaling is actually a really good thing. But like journaling, for me, it started like this. I was really, really pissed off about something that happened that I expected not to happen. So I just went and sat down at a desk and I just took out a book and I just wrote. I was just like, things were just coming to head and me, I'm just clearing my head on this piece of paper. It allows you to even understand yourself. Journaling is like talking to yourself, but people don't think you're crazy. So try it. I must admit it's a good thing. Positive self-talk and reflection. I can't attest to being someone who has done positive self-talk because I just don't see the point. But I guess there's people it works on. Me, it just doesn't get to me like that. Because maybe it's because I was told good things as a child a lot for manipulative purposes and I learned to shield myself against it or not. But that's for me. Maybe for you, positive self-talk would help you beat your self-resentment. Maybe it would be now the counter effect of you unlearning the habit of self-resentment. It could help you overcome it and even just be at a neutral point where you're able to accept yourself. So if you try it and it works for you, brilliant. And the last thing would be quality time with and for yourself. And I cannot emphasize on this enough. It's important to spend time with yourself. The world is a billion and one things that want your attention, but it is very important to give attention to self. Just sit down with yourself and ask yourself, how am I feeling today? What's going on? Like, talk to yourself, Adi. Just have conversations with yourself.
You can seek self-gratification or self-acceptance or self-appreciation instead of external validation. Seek internal validation.
Yeah, which would be actually a better thing for you because it's for you at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's not you're doing it for people. Be intentional in doing things for you. Self-care is something else that you have to be extremely intentional about. You can't leave your self-care to someone else, your partner, your parents, your friends, society.
That is true.
Excuse me. But 7, 8, 9, 10, the whole point is self-care is you taking care of you. No one else involved, no other parties. You setting boundaries for you, you being selfish for you, you giving yourself things for you. It's the way you give back to you.
Yes.
Just the same way for you religious people, you go to the church to give to God. It is important to give to self.
Yes.
And as I finish off, I will once more tell you guys to try journaling. It's a very important thing.
I agree. And as we are clearing off, something about celebrating the small wins, something about choosing to be grateful for the little you have come or the far you have come, whatever. You have to be able to love yourself the way you would love that. Like, if you, let's see, yeah, if you're a parent and your child has achieved something, whether small or whether big, and you feel good about it, whether you're a friend and your fellow friend, someone you care about, basically has achieved something good and it makes you feel nice, the way you would react with them is how you're supposed to react with self. Love yourself the way you love other people. Take care of yourself the way you take care of other people. Give yourself the ability to feel free with yourself. Actually, I have come up with a question. Other than when was the last time you took yourself out for on a date, ask yourself, when was the last time I actually thought about myself in a positive way? When was the last time I actually thought I was doing good? And how did that change? Or how am I still maintaining that?
This is a form of self-care. So practice self-care in any form. One way or another, just for yourself, just to give back to yourself. You've been giving to the world since you were born. Time, attention, energy, this, that.
Yeah.
It is important to give to self.
Yeah.
And once you're done giving to self and you've realized that even you're important to yourself, take a minute to subscribe, share, and send this to someone who you think should learn this art of self-care and self-appreciation. And with that, we would like to close off and wish you guys a lovely week. Bye.
Weekend.
Lovely
Whatever
ahead.
time. Bwana, ile time unasikiza. Lovely from there.
Lovely from there going
Bas.
forward.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.